Coming up next, in an exclusive interview with a co-founding member of a classic band who wrote and arranged the most played song in American history by an Australian band or artist. I want to see if you can guess what the song is and who the artist is. I mean, there have been a lot of great Australian artists over the years, right? AC/DC, INXS, Olivia Newton John, Nick Cave, The Church, Rick Springfield, on and on and on. It's a classic song that the band almost threw away. Seriously. They couldn't get the arrangement to work, and they were about to move on after trying to record it 2 separate times. Wasn't working out. Today's guest talked the band into trying it just one more time, and someone that wasn't even in the group is the one who figured out how to make it work. Also, it was named as one of John Lennon's favorite songs. The story's coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember wasting hundreds of quarters on Pac-Man or Dig Dug or Gauntlet or, whatever game it was at the local arcade Frogger, you're going to enjoy this channel. Potent nostalgia 24/7, story straight from the legends. Make sure to subscribe below to be a part of this great music celebration. Click the bell, all that good stuff. Also, if you want more videos and to support this channel, more interviews and all that good stuff, check out our Patreon below. Also, we have our latest merch, including our Vintage Years collection. Get your 1984 one below by Thomas Estrada, great artist. So it's time for another edition of our series, Revelations. This is where artists and bands take us for a deep dive into their greatest songs and albums. Details about the recordings and the artists that you won't find anywhere else. And that's a fact, because they've told me so. Today, we have the story of the most played song in radio history by an Australian artist. Now, I mentioned some of the great artists from Down Under before, but I left this one out. It's a band that's had a lot of hits here in the States, and they're definitely the greatest Australian yacht rock group. I'm talking about Little River Band and the classic 1978 hit, Reminiscing. Hurry, don't be late. I can hardly wait. We have the co-founder, writer, and guitarist Graeham Goble to tell us how he created. Now, it was awarded the BMI Award for 5 million plays. It's now almost at 6 million. The song went to number 3 on the Hot 100. And like I said, it was named by John Lennon as one of his favorite songs. Graeham tells us that the entire song, the lyrics and the music, it fell out of him in minutes. It was like he was transcribing. He was fantasizing and really romanticizing what it would have been like to have a relationship with a girl that he never got with, and having a romance with her in the 30s when big bands were all the rage. He was watching a lot of black and white movies. We were hand in hand when Miller's band was better than before. The song was created in short order, but then almost didn't get recorded because they couldn't get the song, the arrangement to work. I'll let him tell you about it. It's amazing. Also, Graeham told me that after writing this and many other Little River Band classics like Lady, time ago I had a lady to love, the Night Owls, there's a heart of a night owl calling. He and other original band members like singer Glenn Sharrock and Bee Birtles, they haven't been able to tour under their name for the last 20 years because the band who uses the name currently, who doesn't have any original members, controls it. I mean, how would you like to wake up one morning and see that everything you'd ever worked for and created was controlled by somebody else? He gives us that insight. Get the full story next in our exclusive interview with Graeham Goble. Really cool stuff. As we get into this interview, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear. Right now, you can get hundreds of pairs of glasses starting at just $6.95. You design your own pair, your own features, and you can try them on virtually to see how you look before you buy. Check it out at Zenni.com, or even better, download the new app to your phone. Here's the story of the 70s classic, Reminiscing. So many wonderful elements to Reminiscing, beginning with the feel-good melody. Friday night, it was late, I was walking you home, we got down to the gate and
Where that came from, we were doing a TV show in Australia called Countdown, and we were in the green room, and David Briggs, our guitarist, we were just playing guitars and messing about, and he showed me like a C9 chord. I came home from the recording of the TV show, and I sat down and I played that chord. When I put my hand on the guitar, immediately this song just poured into me. And I'm talking full lyric and melody. It wasn't like I had to sit down and write anything down. It was transcribing it almost, okay? So I started there, and I had the Friday night was late, and I was dreaming of the night. So then I thought, well, where does that go?
I was dreaming of the night.
So then as I'm humming and hearing this stuff, I'm writing the lyrics out, of course, because I can hear them. And then surprisingly, what I was hearing went to a key change. And I thought, well, that's something. I've never done that before. And I'm just following it. And then the hurry, don't be late part, I just moved my fingers up 3 frets or 5 frets and found where that should be.
Hurry, don't be late. I can hardly wait.
And then a half an hour later, I had the whole thing. I couldn't write the chords out because I didn't know how to write them. All I knew was I could play it and sing it to the band, which I did.
Walking through the park and reminiscing.
And that was that. So that's how I wrote it. I mean, there's a lot of prehistory to that because the fantasy that's in the Reminiscing lyric is the life that I wanted to have. Like, I loved the black and white movies of the 30s and 40s. I loved Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers. Nelson Eddy and Jeanette MacDonald.
Aren't you afraid Caroline or Annabelle will hear you?
I don't care, let them. I'll serenade you all night.
Glenn Miller, amazing. Cole Porter, my favourite songwriter of all time. And I loved all of those songs, and I always wanted to write an American standard. That was the lyrical content was just waiting inside my soul to pour out.
Friday night, it was late. I was walking you home. We got down to the gate.
When it came to recording it, there was a fantastic, wonderful piano player called Peter Jones who played on a lot of our songs like Cool Change.
For a cool change.
And all the earlier songs. When it came to, we were in the studio doing Sleeper Catcher, and Peter Jones was not available. He was actually out of town. So we recorded Reminiscing with a different keyboard player, and it didn't work out. I said, well, we need to try this with another person. And we tried it with a second keyboard player, and we just couldn't get a cut on it. The groove just didn't feel right. At that point, I was getting a lot of opposition, well, particularly mainly probably from Glenn Shorrock, felt that, because he's not blessed with a lot of patience, and felt that we'd spent maybe 3 days trying to get a cut on Reminiscing, and we haven't got anything, and it's just not working out. And so he just said, let it go, Graeham. And I said, well, I'm not letting it go because I think it's special. A couple of days later, Peter Jones came back into Melbourne. He was available. And so under protest from at least 1 or 2 people, the band agreed that we give it one more try with Peter Jones on Rhodes. And as soon as we did that, it just worked. It was just magic.
I wanna build my world around you.
That's the record that you hear today. But Peter Jones did his chord selections and his jazz training was perfect for that song. He was able to extend the chords that I had written and add things to it.
Talking about a lifetime plan.
It's got so many amazing elements. I mean, David Briggs's rhythm guitar part. Like a lead guitarist normally is not a good rhythm player, usually. But David Briggs came up with this awesome lilting rhythm that just goes so beautifully with the drums. And also the conga, which Derek Pollicci played. When George McArdle approached the bass, it's quite natural to try and fill it up a bit more. But after a few tries, he decided, I'm just going to do one note to the bar and let David's rhythm, Derek's drums, and the conga take the groove. So the groove is being driven by David and really the conga part. and the bassist just laying out of it, just playing like one note to the bar and selecting the right sort of notes and little fills.
It ended all too soon.
That leaves all the space for the Rhodes. But then our first lead guitarist, Rick Lamosa, wrote the awesome strings that are in it as well, you see.
That's the way it began. We were hand in hand, Glenn Miller.
There's all this space in this record for all these elements. Then Beatles played the beautiful sort of da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, the rhythm part, the syncopated riff.
Tell you that it's true.
Which is a major element to the part. But then when we got, this was before we even got to the vocal harmonies or anything, we had this whole outro, because we were just grooving on this groove that felt so great in the studio to play. The band's playing live. So then we had this whole outro and we thought, well, what we're going to do? And I suggested we put a trumpet solo on the end. And I didn't even know about a flugelhorn. So we booked the wonderful Bobby Venier, who was a well-known jazz musician in Melbourne. And Bobby came in with his flugelhorn. I thought it was a trumpet, but it was actually a flugelhorn. We sent him out and he said, I'll just have a bit of a blow on the end to see how it sounds. So he went up to the microphone and he played from the outro all the way to the end. And he said, that's fine. Now I'll have a real shot at it. And we said, no, Bobby, that's it. That's the take. Because it was so magical. We were just playing over the two chords. And
Wow.
So we gave him two more tries and it wasn't as good as the first one. So the first try that he did is what's on the record. Now we have to do the vocals. So then Glenn Shorrock does the lead vocal, one of his greatest lead vocals that he's ever sung. Perfect for the song.
Each time we hear our favorite song.
His voice is just so wonderful on Reminiscing. And so then when it came to the Hurry, Don't Be Late, that was my first try at really sort of Manhattan Transfer type jazz 5-part harmonies. And the way I approached that was I did the melody, hurry, don't be late, I can hardly wait. Did that in octaves, with, I think, Beeb and I, high and low octaves, the melody. But then I blocked out the chords, 5-part chords, with voices singing the same syncopation as the melody. And we had not ever done that before, and I'm not sure that it's ever been done since, but that's how it was an experimentation. But when we played it, it would have been 10 tracks of harmonies, 5-part double tracked, and then octaves, so it's octaves, that's 7 parts double tracked. So there you got 14 tracks of vocals, but then when we played it all back, we thought, wow, this is something pretty unusual. So it was just once again following something down the road and having an idea and thinking, well, it was sort of my role within the band to come up with the vocals, harmonies. And then I think that harmony stack was sung with just Beeb and I, but Glenn did all the lead over the top of it.
We'll go dancing in the dark, walking through the park.
We thought this is pretty fantastic. So then we finished Sleeper Catcher and we send it to the record company, and we're waiting for 5 weeks and we don't hear anything because it's not like you can pick up a mobile phone. And so we didn't know at that point that we had a massive hit. We thought it was a great album track, very different. And so we got a telex back from Capitol and they said, we love the album, but there are no singles on this record. I don't know what we're going to do. Eventually there was an older guy in New York that said to the LA Capitol, like, you guys are crazy. Release Reminiscing, it's smash. And so they said, well, we're not confident, but we can't think of anything else, so we'll put Reminiscing out and just see how it goes. Well, of course, it immediately went crazy.
Number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. but it was bigger than a lot of the songs that went to number one that year. It was one of the biggest songs of that year. But the other thing is that it's been played over 5 million times, the only Australian song in America to have that distinction.
Heading closely to 6 million now. It's getting up there.
And what's so cool about that is that you'd said that growing up watching the black and white movies and always wanting to write a standard, Cole Porter being your hero, you did write a standard. You wrote a modern standard. This is a modern day standard. From plays alone, every time you turn on the radio, you're going to hear this song on some kind of a classic station. It's timeless. It's a classic of romantic nostalgia. I remember as a little kid when I would hear this song, even up through high school, I would kind of daydream about meeting that person in my life. And that song was like the soundtrack to that for me. In Reminiscing, you take us through the very emotional plea about a man deeply smitten, how he shares the euphoria of his love, his desire to make it a lifetime plan, as the lyric says, as you call it. It's a phenomenal song, and it captures that.
Well, thank you very much. It was a reality for me because I, without going into the long story, I did meet somebody when I was 16, and we never ever were able to get together. So I had this, what I call her my muse, that she inspired a lot of my songwriting, in that I was never able to really experience what Reminiscing is talking about. But it was my desire, like a lot of people have that thing. Many people are lucky enough to actually end up with their object of their desire and their love. And I was not. I could live it internally through my songwriting. What people respond to is an emotion that's coming from the writer that they feel deeply, and then the person can feel that as well. If songwriters are willing to talk about their deeper feelings, I think most of them, if not all of them, their great songs come from this pain, internal pain. I mean, Billy Joel, I mean, really, what a wonderful writer. Neil Diamond. The list goes on. I would be surprised if any of them don't have something like that driving them.
I mean, John Lennon said that Reminiscing is one of his favorite songs of all time. I mean, that's incredible.
Well, he wasn't a person that would give away credits too easily.
No.
Also, Sinatra gave a very nice compliment for the song as well. And I don't take that as any ego thing. I just take it a recognition of quality songwriting.
When you say Friday night, it was late, I was walking you home. I mean, it just is perfect the way it sings. It sings
Yes.
perfectly.
Yeah. It is. It's like you're walking down the street, and they're like you're almost remembering the night you've just had with your girl. But if you think of the start of Night and Day with the beat, beat, beat of the tom-tom, like that one note sort of, he sets it up.
Like the beat, beat, beat of the tom-tom.
It's inspired by that. You can see that my love of Night and Day came out in Reminiscing in a different way. It's not a copy. It's just the inspiration of the brilliance of, like, Cole Porter. That's the music that I still listen to today.
Each time we hear our favorite song. Is that what you're talking about, Night and Day, right there?
Exactly.
Little River Band, you are master of the bridge. That's kind of a lost art, too.
I think I have written some great middle eights because to me, writing a song was you've got a verse, then you go to the chorus, but then you got to really kick it for a middle eight, and the middle eight's got to take the story further, but also take the energy further in the song.
We've reminisced about the creation and legacy of Reminiscing, but I think it's interesting now. We've talked about how many times it's been played and everything like that, and how it still resonates with people. And also the way it's been used in pop culture. The covers, I mean, Barry Manilow.
Walking through the park and reminiscing.
Katie Lang.
Down to the gate, I was dreaming of the night.
I know. It's just a wonderful testament to the record that we made.
Biz Markie sampled it.
The mid-'80s is what I'm talking about. You will agree without a reasonable doubt.
On American Idol, Ben Stiller referred to it.
Reminiscing by the Little River Band.
Did you see Ben Stiller's performance? Like, incredible.
I can hardly wait. I said to myself when we're old.
That was hilarious.
It's been used in Freaks and Geeks and then Knocked Up and the other guys. You can tell that those comedians, those they love the song. Like, you can tell that Will Ferrell's a fan. I mean, these,
Yes.
these guys, they love it. And Yacht Rock has brought all this music back. Back in the late 70s and early 80s, people were so meticulous, like Steely Dan, Little River Band, Fleetwood Mac, that they wanted the recording to last forever, perfection.
Yeah.
They wanted a perfect recording. So to me, I think it's a compliment.
Well, I think it is too, and that was our approach. We were the same approach as you said. Steely Dan, same. Like a hi-hat is important. If it's not important, it shouldn't be on the record. We worried about the kick sound and the kick part. This is why we spent months and months and months in the recording studio trying to perfect the sound of things, the parts that everyone played, the space that we were leaving. This was all discussed and all honored in the recording process.
Right.
It wasn't just getting in there, having a joint and jamming. That wasn't us. We were in there, serious musicians trying to work out how can we make a unique record that no one has ever heard before. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of brain power collectively. And I was very fortunate to be working with a bunch of musicians that were all into pursuing it to the nth degree, no matter how long it took.
I love that.
So I was very, very lucky. Reminiscing would not have existed. We would not have got that record if everybody wasn't prepared to just keep at it until we got it.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about Graeham Goble, Reminiscing, and Little River Band. It's a classic band, so many hits. What are your memories of this band? What are your memories of them and their amazing harmonies? Let's have a great discussion below in the comments. If this content resonates with you, we do invite you to join our community by subscribing below. Help us keep the music alive. That's the idea. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friend.